Most people assume that looking expensive means spending serious money, $2,000, maybe more, because that's what the industry has trained people to believe. But that's not always true. Some watches deliver a level of design, finishing, and presence that feels far more premium than their price suggests. The trick is knowing where to look. So today, we're breaking down 5 watches that look far more expensive than they actually are, from serious dive pieces to heritage designs and modern everyday icons. Let's start with one that combines tool watch capability with real GMT functionality. If you think Seiko only dominates the affordable watch space, this model proves the brand can play in a much more serious category. The Prospex GMT SPB 381 isn't just another dive watch with extra features. It's built around a clear purpose, combining professional dive capability with real travel functionality. The case immediately gives it presence. Strong lines, a ceramic bezel insert, and proportions that feel solid without becoming bulky. But the real highlight is the movement. Inside is Seiko's 6R54 automatic GMT caliber, offering true traveler-style GMT functionality. That means the local hour hand jumps independently, something you normally expect from watches in a much higher price bracket. 200 meters of water resistance reinforces the tool watch identity, while the ceramic bezel adds a level of visual refinement many divers in this range simply don't have. On the wrist, it feels substantial and deliberate. The finishing transitions between brushed surfaces and polished accents give the watch a presence that feels more premium than most expect from the Seiko name. And that's where the perception shift happens. Because when you compare it to Swiss GMT divers costing significantly more, the gap doesn't feel nearly as wide as it should. It doesn't look like a budget alternative. It looks like a serious travel-ready dive watch that just happens to carry a far more accessible price. And that's exactly why it takes the top spot on this list. If you think most dive watches in this price range are built more for style than serious performance, the Seastar 2000 Professional challenges that assumption quickly. This isn't just another sporty diver. It's a watch designed with real capability in mind. The first thing you notice is the construction. A 46mm case gives it undeniable presence, but the proportions are controlled enough that it still feels balanced on the wrist. Then there's the spec that defines the watch: 600 meters of water resistance. That's a level of capability you normally expect from much more expensive professional dive watches. The ceramic bezel adds durability and a premium visual touch, catching light in a way aluminum inserts simply can't match. Inside, the watch runs on TISSOT's Powermatic 80 automatic movement, offering an impressive 80-hour power reserve. That means you can take it off for a couple of days and it'll still be running when you come back. On the wrist, it feels solid and purposeful. The bracelet has weight, the bezel action feels confident, and the overall construction gives the impression of a watch built to handle real conditions. And this is where the perception shift happens. Because when you compare the Seastar 2000 to professional dive watches far above its price bracket, it doesn't feel like a compromise. It feels like a serious tool watch that simply happens to be more accessible. And that's exactly why it lands near the top of this list. If you think affordable watches can't have real character, this Oris proves otherwise almost instantly. The big crown pointer date is one of those watches that doesn't rely on aggressive specs to stand out. Instead, it leans on heritage, materials, and design that feel genuinely distinctive. The first thing you notice is the bronze case. Unlike stainless steel, bronze evolves over time. It develops a natural patina that slowly changes the appearance of the watch, meaning no two pieces age exactly the same. That alone gives it personality many modern watches simply don't have. Then there's the dial layout, the oversized crown, cathedral-style hands, and the iconic pointer date complication give the watch a vintage aviation feel that traces back to Oris designs from the 1930s. But it doesn't feel outdated. The finishing feels modern and controlled. The dial remains clean and legible, and the proportions keep the watch balanced on the wrist. Inside, you get a reliable Swiss automatic movement, reinforcing the mechanical identity collectors often look for. On the wrist, it feels warm, solid, and full of character. The bronze case gives it presence without feeling flashy. And this is where perception shifts, because when people think about watches that feel special, they often assume a much higher price bracket. But the big crown bronze pointer date proves that distinctive design and real personality don't always require luxury-level pricing. It doesn't try to look expensive. It simply feels unique, and that's exactly why it earns the middle spot on this list. If you think elegance always comes with a luxury price tag, this Longines challenges that assumption immediately. The flagship heritage doesn't rely on modern trends or aggressive design to feel expensive. Instead, it leans into something much harder to replicate: timeless refinement. At first glance, the watch looks simple. Clean dial, slim case, classic proportions. But look closer, and the details start to reveal themselves. The polished case reflects light in a way that feels controlled and refined. The applied markers and Dauphine-style hands add depth without disturbing the symmetry of the dial. Everything about the design feels deliberate. Inside, you get a reliable Swiss automatic movement, reinforcing the watch's traditional character and mechanical credibility. On the wrist, the flagship heritage wears exactly the way a classic dress watch should: slim, balanced, and effortlessly elegant. It doesn't try to grab attention. It simply carries a quiet confidence that many modern watches struggle to achieve. And this is where the perception shift happens. Because when most people imagine a watch with this level of refinement, they often picture something sitting in a much higher luxury category. But the flagship heritage proves that true elegance doesn't always require an extravagant price. It doesn't scream luxury, it just looks like it belongs there. If you assume a watch needs a mechanical movement to feel premium, this Citizen challenges that idea right away. The Citizen Eco Drive focuses on something many watches overlook: everyday practicality. Instead of relying on traditional battery replacements or constant winding, the watch runs entirely on light. That means no battery swaps, no winding routine, and almost no interruption in daily use. The movement simply keeps running as long as it's exposed to light, making ownership surprisingly effortless. Visually, the watch keeps things clean and modern. The dial is balanced, the markers are sharp, and the overall design feels controlled rather than overly decorative. On the wrist, it feels comfortable and stable. The case proportions are measured, the bracelet feels secure, and the watch carries enough presence without becoming bulky. And this is where the perception shift happens. People often associate accessible pricing with compromise, but the Eco Drive experience doesn't feel compromised at all. Instead, it feels efficient, practical, and thoughtfully engineered for everyday reliability. It doesn't rely on complexity to impress. It simply delivers a refined, dependable watch that quietly looks far more expensive than its price suggests. And that's exactly why it opens this list.